The Vita has no games. Bullshit. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Lord X here, coming at you once again with a brand new collections video. That's right, I decided to stutter a little bit first, but I decided to do another one of these videos. I thought it'd be fun to show off another one of my handheld collections, and this time I'm going to go over my Vita collection. This is only going to be my physical collection, not my digital one, because I have a shit ton of digital games on my Vita, from every Final Fantasy, from Final Fantasy 1 straight up to Final Fantasy X-2. I've got a bunch of PSP titles, the two remastered versions of Persona 1 and 2 on there, Persona 3 FES that came out on PSP, stuff like Hatsune Miku, Project Diva F, the Atelier games, Tottori and Mamoru on there, and Sword Art Online, among a ton of indie games and that. But we're not going to go over those in detail. What I am going to go over in a little bit of detail is my physical collection. And just like with the 3DS one, I'm going to go through these in alphabetical order. So, without further ado, let's begin. The first game here is one that I've picked up. I haven't started playing it yet. I'm excited to, though, and that is Conception 2: Children of the Seven Stars. Kind of reminds me of the old Super Mario RPG title, Legend of the Seven Stars, but this is the Children of the Seven Stars. And when monsters come to Eteria, so too did the deceitful teenagers, with rare abilities to hold the fiends back. Unique even among the disciples, your 100% success rate at producing star children blesses you with a special burden. Bond with female disciples, raise an army, and help your world survive. So yeah, making babies and saving the world. Conception. It's in the title. Never played the first one. I don't think the first one actually released here in North America, so yeah, I'm excited to dive into this. Next up, we have one of my Game of the Year. One of the games that I selected as Game of the Year in 2014, and that is Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. I have sung the praises of this game so many times. Just check out almost any Cannot podcast, to be fair with you, and check out my top 11 games of 2014. I went into detail about why I love this game and why I loved its sequel, Danganronpa 2: Goodbye Despair. Both of these games are fantastic visual novel / puzzle games, kind of think in the lines of Ace Attorney, but with a emotional story that will hit you hard in the feels, more so than Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead could ever do to you. So yeah, if you have a Vita, you should be playing these games because they are fantastic. Next up, we have another NIS game, which you will see quite a bit from me because I am their #1 fan. And of course, this is Demon Gaze, which came out last year. I dove into this game a little bit. I did buy the limited edition of it. It looked cool. Yeah, it was alright. Wasn't a big fan onto it, but it's NIS, so I wanted to support them. It's good. It's a dungeon crawler type deal. You're in first person going through it. Maybe I'll go back and give it another chance at some point, but for now it's on the back burner. I tried it out. It was alright. Not my thing really, but yeah, it's pretty good. There's the back of the case if you want to see that. Can you control the raging demons? I can. Alright, so next up, we have a game where this is essentially the last, and hopefully it won't be the last, AAA title to be put in for the Vita, but a Vita exclusive, Freedom Wars, where you are fight your way to freedom. You have been sentenced to, I think, was it a million-year prison sentence, I do believe? And you go on Monster Hunter type missions to get your sentence reduced. But of course you could do stupid things, and that would increase your sentence. It's a back and forth, and quite a bit. And it also has a little bear, kind of like in the vein of Monokuma there as well. So there you go. And there's online multiplayer. Say up to 8 players, 4 versus 4. Customize your appearance, class, and weapons. Rise in global rankings as you battle other countries. I didn't dive too much into Freedom Wars, but I enjoyed it. It's a fun game, and as far as I know, if you go into the later missions, you're going to want to play with other people because things get really difficult, as far as I understand anyway. So yeah, that's Freedom Wars. Do pick that one up. Do support Sony, support the Vita, get Freedom Wars, and you'll be able to do that. And you know, maybe we'll get even more content coming to the PlayStation Vita. Next up, we're going to dive into one of my favorite series for the next few games, and that's the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. But the first game that I have here, and it's the latest one to be released, is Hyper Devotion Noire Goddess Blackheart. Yes, this one is starring Noire. This is her own game, which is awesome because she is essentially my favorite character in the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. And this one's a strategy RPG, and I haven't started playing it yet because I'm focusing on another game I'll be talking about in a few minutes. But as soon as that one's done, I'm diving into this and playing this one. Hopefully it will be this one because I've been really looking forward to this game for quite some time now. So yeah, there we go, that's the first game. The next game I have here, you can actually check out a video on my YouTube channel because I'm doing a Let's Play of the PC version, and that is Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1. This is the remake of the very first Hyperdimension Neptunia game. They've fixed the combat, it's a lot better now. They've made some improvements to the story, some new features into the game, some new characters. Really fun game. Essentially, if you don't know already, the Hyperdimension Neptunia series focuses on the console wars, and each character is and each console and company is actually represented by a different character. Neptune there is essentially Sega here in the first game. This is Compa, which is essentially CompileHeart, the developers of the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. And this character right here is IF, or Iffy, and she represents Idea Factory, the guys who published the game. And you get a lot of other characters in the game as well. There's a ton of game references in here, which is awesome. Yeah, this series is well worth playing, and if you haven't played any into it, you know, starting with the first one here on the Vita is probably a good idea. I don't really recommend the PS3 version, that may turn you off. The Vita version has improved a lot, so do start with that one. And if you don't want to start with this one, well, you can play the second game on PS3, or you can play the Vita version, Hyperdimension Neptunia MK2 Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 2 Sisters Generation. MK2 is the PS3 title of the game. And again, same thing represented. This time you get to see, this is Neptunia's younger sister. And you have the younger sisters of the Loe goddess there. This is Noire's younger sister. So yeah, and there's the back of the case. If you want to take the time and just pause the video and read that, you can do so. Again, this is my favorite game in this series. I'm really looking forward to replaying this one again. I do know that they're coming out with the Vita version of the third one, I think at some point this year, and there's another spin-off game as well. Speaking of spin-off games in the Hyperdimension Neptunia series, we have Hyperdimension Neptunia Producing Perfection. This is a idol simulator. The music's pretty good, but it is the weakest entry in the series that I've played, and yeah, it was different, but all in all, this is one you can probably skip over unless you're maybe a diehard fan like myself. If you are, it's great to have in the collection. That's why I bought it. For the most part, it is enjoyable. So, but if you can get it on the cheap, maybe on the PlayStation Store during a sale, I'd recommend it that way. Unless, like I said, you're a collector like me, then go for the physical copy, even if it is the weakest in the series. Now, with that out of the way, we can go away from the Japan style right now. And the next game I have here is, it's one I picked up on a whim, along with the next game, because there was a sale at EB Games, I think 2 for $20 or something, so I decided to go with 2 Vita games. And the first one here, underneath the massive EB Games sticker thing, which I hate, Little Deviants. This was one of the launch titles for the PlayStation Vita. It's pretty bad, I'm going to be honest with you. It is pretty bad. Yeah, it was just an excuse to use the touch features of the Vita. Maybe not the proudest game in my collection, but I have it there all the same. And the next one up was actually a really good port to the Vita, and I've heard good things about their other game that they ported to the Vita as well, which I still haven't gotten yet, but I want to pick it up at some point. And that's Mortal Kombat 9, technically. The last Mortal Kombat game to come out. All the DLC here is included, so you got Freddy Krueger in there, Kenji, the other character who's hidden behind the sticker who I can't see at the moment. So yeah, this was a fun game, I thought. I loved the PS3 version of this game. It was awesome. The Vita version, it runs pretty damn good. I mean, it's not the best, but it runs pretty damn good. NetherRealm knew how to port their games to the Vita, and I think it's highly doubtful that we'll get Mortal Kombat X on the Vita, but you never know. They might bring it over. They brought over Injustice, which like I said, I want to get that game as well. Mortal Kombat, really good port. That's why I picked it up. Okay, it's time to dive back into the Japan list of games. And the next game I have here is probably the best game on the Vita. It is the Vita's killer app, if you want to go that route. It is a remake of a PlayStation 2 game. It is a JRPG. It is, of course, Persona 4 Golden. Now, I own Persona 4 on the PS2. I picked it up really late in its life cycle. I mean, I had a PlayStation 3 at the time, and I never had a PS2 with me, so I couldn't play it, or I had it packaged away or whatever. So I never really got around to playing the PS2 version. Last summer, when I went home on vacation, I took Persona 4 with me. I thought, I'll probably get started on the game. In a week, I sunk about 50 hours into this title, and I demolished it. I beat it, or no, I almost beat it. I beat it when I got back from vacation, but this is by far the best, or one of the best JRPGs ever made. It is in my top 5 games of all time. The story is great. Every single character is lovable, which is incredible for a game like this, because you fall in love with all of the characters, even the side characters, even the villain. This game is amazing. It can be extremely difficult. If you had the difficulty up, I played on very easy just because I wanted to get through the story, and I don't really have the time anymore these days to really sink, say, 100 plus hours into a JRPG to play on normal, hard, or the hardest difficulty anymore, that pains me so much. But the story in this game is well worth playing. Do yourself a favor, if you own a Vita, go buy Persona 4 Golden. You have to play this game. It is well worth it. It is deserving of your time and money. And there's the back of the case, in case you want to see it. Next, we have the game that I am currently playing on my PlayStation Vita, and that is Tales of Hearts R. The Tales series is incredible. I love it so much. I need to get back to Tales of Xillia 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 3. Again, time restraints, so that's been a difficult part of trying to get back to those, which it hurts me so much because I bought the collector's editions of both. I have statues, the 2 statues from that, which are awesome. Prides of my collection, to be honest with you. And yeah, this game is absolutely cool. I've been enjoying my time with it. I'll probably get back to it after recording this video, to be fair. So, really fun, really cool. PlayStation TV compatible. And there's the back of the case if you want to check that out. If you're a Tales fan, I'd recommend playing this game. The physical copy of this was an EB Games / GameStop exclusive, so if you can, try and hunt down a copy. If not, it's on the PlayStation Store. It is well worth the money for a download. So, recommend that to no extent. Now, the pre-ultimate final game I have here to talk about. It is in a series that I hold so dear to my heart. It is from a game. It is the sequel to a game that is probably up there as one of my, top 10 PlayStation 2 titles of all time. And that is Touch My Katamari. I fell in love with the first Katamari Damacy game. I love this series so very, very much. I wish I actually had more of the games. I wish I had the PS3 version one. I wish I had the sequel on PlayStation 2, but I don't. Touch My Katamari and the Katamari games in general are so cool, so awesome. If you can find them, buy them. Me and a friend were actually in Toys R Us one day, just looking around, and we noticed a copy, and we both grabbed for it at the same time. And then we dug through the pile and we found another one, because this was, I think, $15 there at Toys R Us the day we were there, so we jumped on it. We had to buy it right away because we hadn't seen a copy in a while. If you love rolling shit up and just really weird and totally Japanese gameplay, Touch My Katamari's for you. It is fun, the story's different but cool. If you love just rolling shit up into a giant ball, Touch My Katamari is definitely for you. Plus, you can make a lot of innuendos with Touch My Katamari. And the final game I have on my Vita list, it's another game on my backlog. It will probably be played after Hyper Devotion Noir. And that is Wise! Memories of Celestia? I have been looking for this game for a while now. I just called it Wise, but it's really Ys. I remember I actually own one of the Ys games for Super Nintendo, and I remember that game being so excruciatingly difficult back in the day. And yeah, I was really excited to finally find a copy of this. Every time I'd look, they were like $29.99 or $39.99. I walked into EB Games not too long ago, just looking around. This is actually one of my March pickups, to be honest with you. A little sneak peek. And it was there on the shelf. I was like, oh, there's Wise again. Then I noticed the price tag. $19.99. Brand new. I was at the checkout within 3 minutes with it, because I thought I'd never find a physical copy of this game for that price. So, really cool. Really happy to have this in my collection, and I'm sure I'll be talking about this on a future Canuck podcast, or maybe a vlog video. I've been actually thinking about doing a weekly vlog series on playing games and what games I've played that week, so I might start doing that up very soon, so you may see that on there in the future. But anyways, that's going to do it for this pickup video, guys. It's gone on for a while. I thank you so much if you've stuck through the entire thing. If you've just flash forwarded through to see what games were here, thank you anyways, because I do appreciate you tuning in whichever way you want to. And with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. I've been Lord X. You've been awesome. If you like this video, check out my 3DS pickups, or 3DS collection video right there. And maybe in the future I'll do another one on my DS collection, on my 360 collection, which is basically a paperweight collection right now because I've packed away my 360. Or maybe I'll do a PS3 collection video, or a Pop Vinyl collection video. There's a few I could do. Maybe I could even try and find my PSP collection. I think I have that here with me. I think. Maybe I'll do one on that. But anyways, thank you for the time right now, and I will catch you next time.